Welcome everyone. Today, here, it's the 472 days after, on the day that the USA is inaugurating a new presidential administration. But before I speak, I want you to join me in saluting the Palestinian resistance in all its shapes and colors. We here can be only in awe before their dignified resilience, their perseverance, and the strength of their fighting spirit. It is because of this resistance that the Palestinians succeeded against all odds to halt the ethnic cleansing in Gaza. So join me, please. Where are you, Nabil?
Palestine!
Free! Free!
Palestine!
Also, please join me in saluting all our martyrs, mothers, fathers, sons and daughters. We will remember them. The whole world will remember them. Memorials will be erected for all of those that were killed in the most recent and most televised genocide. So that this time we can truly say never. Never again for anyone. Yes.
From Gaza to Beirut, all our martyrs we salute. Gaza to Beirut,
All our martyrs we salute. Today, I was going to wear my mother's coat, a traditional Palestinian dress that she embroidered herself. I was going to wear it because we normally do so when we are celebrating happy occasions and events. But I still feel as if I have a huge lump in my stomach. Yes, a ceasefire has been announced at last. The live-streamed mass killing of my people has been paused. But this fact only prompts me to start grieving, to try to envisage how on earth people in Gaza will begin to heal, reconstruct, and keep on existing whilst preserving their humanity. Edward Said once said that there is no cause, no God, no abstract idea that can justify the mass slaughter of innocents. As we speak, nearly 47,000 people have been killed. At least 17,000 were children.
shame!
These numbers only refer to those whose bodies were recorded by the Ministry of Health. They exclude the bodies under the rubble, the bodies scattered on the streets, and the number of people missing. They also exclude those who died due to disease and infections. Some scientific estimates range between 186,000 and 300,000 dead. Over 2 million people have been displaced or made homeless. The extent of the destruction is such that people from the north of Gaza have no homes to go back to. No civil institution, public services or infrastructure was spared. Starvation was used as a weapon of war. It will take 14 years to remove all the rubble, and possibly 40 years to rebuild all that has been destroyed in Gaza. The recovery from the collective trauma this genocide has created is something I, for one, cannot even begin to start thinking about. All of this has been justified by the global political elite under the incorrect notion that the Israeli entity, a military occupation, and a colonial superpower has the right to defend itself. It does not. Both US administrations, Biden's and Trump's, are now boasting about how they were successful in pressurizing Netanyahu to agree a ceasefire. They could have done so over a year ago. 47,000 dead Palestinians ago.
Shame!
The global imperial north, and particularly the US, could have not vetoed every attempt to a ceasefire over the last 14 months. They could have imposed an arms embargo on Israel, one that would have deprived it of dropping bombs. They could have backed South Africa's genocide case at the ICJ. They could have recognized a Palestinian state, as several countries have done. They could have refused to transport weapons to Israel and provide it with intelligence. They could have promised to arrest Netanyahu and Gallant wherever they go. They could have imposed sanctions on Israel instead of passing laws that will impose sanctions on the members of the ICC. They could have done, but they didn't. These are facts we should never forget. They will need to stay pinned as a reminder in our foreheads for the foreseeable future. I fear that the reason for this sudden success in pressurizing Israel is only a false image projected for all of us. Each of Biden and Trump want to take credit for achieving a truce. Biden wants it as part of his legacy, and Trump wants it as a demonstration of his superpower negotiator's ability. But I wonder about the hidden deals. What was Netanyahu promised in order to make some concessions at this point? Has he been promised not to be tried at The Hague? Has he been promised to annex the West Bank and drive out the Palestinians to Jordan? Netanyahu is already announcing that the ceasefire is only a pause, that Israel is going to resume its aggression with the full backing from the USA. He said that both US presidents promised to do so by the end of this first stage of the ceasefire negotiations. For the Palestinians, the ceasefire is a much-needed respite, a moment to breathe and gather strength from the times ahead. The siege on Gaza hasn't been lifted. Israel wants to have control over and oversight over the Palestinians' political rights in Gaza and in the West Bank. The settlements continue to expand. Our political leaders, along with over 15,000 Palestinians, are still inside the Israeli military prisons, under inhumane conditions, maltreated and tortured. Today is also the second day of the ceasefire. The hope is that 600 trucks carrying food and aid will be allowed to be delivered on a daily basis. This is in addition to the much-needed medical aid and equipment, and in addition to the fuel and the machinery needed to start removing the rubble. But this is a giant operational challenge, one that cannot be done without UNRWA and the participation of other major humanitarian organizations. The international community, as they call it, need to reinstate its funding to UNRWA. They need to demand from Israel to backtrack from its decision to shut down their operations. Going forward, and if the ceasefire holds, it is crucial to allow independent investigations and international media coverage of what has happened in Gaza. We need to know what weapons and new technologies have been tested on the ground and on our people. We need it to be on record for everyone that wants to hear it. How far has Israel gone in its barbarity? But let me briefly mention what the Palestinian resistance and we, the Solidarity Movement, have achieved so far. One, no longer can Israel pretend that Palestinians don't exist or that they have been silenced? Two, globally, people have become more aware of Palestine and the Palestinians demanding for self-determination. The image of the undefeatable Israel has been shattered into a million pieces. Three, the nature of the Israeli entity has been exposed like never before. We all here are now aware of its colonial, expansionist, and intrinsically racist nature. Satanic. The calls to boycott, number 4, the calls to boycott, divest, and sanction the Israeli apartheid state have become louder than ever in the history of the Palestinian struggle. Global solidarity with the Palestinians has reached levels never known in our history of support for Palestine. Israeli leaders and soldiers are wanted for trial and are being chased to make them accountable under international law for the atrocities they themselves broadcasted on our phones and TV screens. 6. We are starting to hear statements and calls to isolate Israel. Francesca Albanese has already said that there are legal grounds to invoke Article 6 of the UN Charter to strip Israel of its UN membership credentials. And the Malaysian Prime Minister, Anwar bin Ibrahim, has said that Israel no longer belongs in the community of civilized nations. But we need to think about what comes next. As a solidarity movement, where are we going from here? This is my view anyway. We hope that Palestinians in Gaza are going to be allowed to start their healing process. This will require pressure on Israel to resume its not resume its aggressions. We need to keep our eyes on what is happening in the West Bank, particularly the settler attacks, the grabbing of more Palestinian land, and the aggressions to our refugee camps. The annexation of the West Bank will require more resistance and more solidarity actions. We also need to keep our eyes on the political endeavors to resolve the conflict, as they call it. Somehow the USA and the UK and many European states have remembered that after 77 years of recognizing the Israeli state, Palestinians still don't have a state on their own land. However, and as Mustafa Barghouti puts it, we are sick and tired of the USA and the UK talking about a two-state solution. What meaning is there to this solution if they do not talk about recognizing the Palestine state, or about the dismantling of all legal settlements, or about the end of the occupation and apartheid? There is no possibility of viability for the two-state solution unless these fundamental conditions are resolved. More importantly, and again this is my view, there will be no justice until there is a recognition that historical Palestine, all of the land, was stolen from us.
Yes!
The only people who should have a say on the day after in Gaza are the Palestinians.
Yes.
This is non-negotiable.
Yes.
The same applies on all the Palestinian land.
Yes!
There will be no more of the usual USA and the global elite imparting on us who our leaders should be.
No.
Finally, and to conclude, let me share with you a quote from the great Palestinian writer and fighter, Ghassan Kanafani. Imperialism has laid its body over the world. The head is in Eastern Asia, its heart in the Middle East, its arteries reaching Africa and Latin America. Wherever you strike it, you damage it, and you serve the world revolution. Let's keep these thoughts in our minds as we proceed with our role in actioning solidarity with the Palestinians. Thank you.